Hi, everyone. Welcome back to Seeds of Impact. I am your host, Hannah Nickel. And before we dive into today's content, I want to do a quick recap of everything we talked about in episode 1. So, in our premiere, we covered 3 core pillars that every purpose driven organization needs for growth, visibility, and impact. First was memorable branding. Second, a website that converts. And third, a marketing strategy that moves your audience from awareness to action. Now, today we're diving deeper into the first one, branding, specifically how to build a brand that people actually remember and want to engage with. And over the next about 10 minutes, you're going to learn how to create a brand that resonates, builds trust, and keeps your business top of mind with your audience. So let's dive in. Many businesses, when they're just getting started out, turn to resources like Fiverr, Upwork, and even now AI platforms like ChatGPT to create a logo and to get a logo designed for their company. And while that may seem like a really quick, affordable fix, it really limits your potential. Now, your brand isn't only your logo and your colors. And most people may say, well, I know this. But what they don't think about is that your brand is the story and the perception that is surrounding your business as well. Your brand shapes a person's perception of your business. It creates the right signals for interaction with your organization, and it communicates why somebody should care about your organization specifically. What do you have to say? Your brand is the foundation for business growth and is going to set you apart from your competitors. What makes a brand memorable isn't just the design. While that might be what initially captures somebody, it's really the mission and the meaning behind the brand and the organization that is really going to help people connect with you. That's why a brand like Converse is seen as a style choice, but a brand like Tom's is remembered for their movement, right? Most of us can remember that Tom's, for every pair that's purchased, they donate a pair, right? Research has continuously shown that consumers are putting their wallets where their values are. There was research conducted by the group Givesley that showed 64% of Americans surveyed said that they would rather pay more for brands that actually reflected their values. And for Gen Z Americans specifically, that number jumped up to 79%. Givesley noticed that across demographics, there was a desire for consumers to align their purchase decisions with their personal values. Now, at its heart, purpose-driven branding is about the mission and the story that your audience is going to connect with. It aligns someone's values with their purchasing decisions and creates a different kind of loyalty to your brand. So here are 3 simple steps to create a memorable and purpose-driven brand that will grow your business and your impact. So the first step is to build a brand with clarity. Donald Miller often says, if you confuse, you lose. You have approximately 7 seconds to capture someone's attention when they first come to your website. And if you're not clear on your mission and your brand from the start, you're going to lose people really quickly. We'll talk more about the website side of things later on in the season, but from the branding perspective, what that means is you need to start the branding process with research. I know, it's not sexy. Everybody wants to start with colors and fonts, the fun things, right? But what you need to remember is that you're not building your brand for yourself. You're building a brand to connect with the specific audience and to move that audience from awareness to action. One simple way that you can build your brand with clarity is by working through what we refer to as the who, what, why, where, and how model. Start by identifying who is your business for. Is it for men, women, children, for students or working professionals? You might not want to admit it, but your business is not for everyone, nor should it be, right? You need to identify a specific audience that you're looking to resonate with. After you define the who, it's time to move into the research into the why and the what. Why does a person or a group need what you are offering? What is the problem that you're solving for them? Why should they look to you instead of a competitor? What values are driving their decisions? Then comes where. Where does your audience spend their time? Do they prefer traditional advertising or digital advertising? Answering those questions all culminates in the how. In light of what you now know about your audience, how should you communicate to them with branding? These are incredibly valuable answers, not just for building your brand, but also for building your business, for business development, for marketing strategy. Don't underestimate the power of starting with research. Now, let's imagine you're building a bridge. You need to ensure that there's a plan in place, that your site is ready for building, that the foundation is strong before you can continue with the rest of the build. If you don't, you have the potential to run into risks of injury, death, collapse of a bridge, structural problems. There are all sorts of issues if you don't get the foundation of your bridge built correctly. Think of building your brand similar to building a bridge. When you build your brand for your audience, you need to follow the right steps so that your brand can directly connect your audience to your business. One way to pressure test the clarity of your brand is to ask a stranger to look at your website or social media feed and ask them, after 7 seconds of viewing it, whether or not they could tell you what your business does and why it matters to them. If not, your message probably needs refining. Now that you have your brand comes step 2. Step 2 is to create consistency across all of your touch points. That includes consistency with your visual identity, your voice, your messaging, and historically, you've needed about 7 different touch points across your platforms before someone became a customer. Now, that number has only increased, with some sources even going as high as 28 touch points before somebody converts. But no matter what number you see, the principle remains the same. Your brand needs to be consistent no matter where someone first comes across your business. Whether somebody comes across your email, your website, or a social media post, they need to feel as if it's coming from the same person, the same brand. If your website looks sleek, clean, professional, but your social media posts are casual and goofy, that's going to create friction, and friction is the enemy of memorability. What comes to mind when you think of brands like REI or Patagonia? No matter where you see them, whether an ad online, in store, emails, or social media, their branding is instantly recognizable, and it's tied to their mission. That is the level of consistency that we're going for. Finally comes step 3. Build your brand through effective communication and storytelling. People remember stories. We're just wired for them. And especially for purpose-driven brands, your audience is going to feel even more connected to a cause. According to Nielsen Consumer Neuroscience Research, the most successful ads captured audiences' attentions, converted the information to long-term memory, and created an emotional engagement. When your brand tells stories, whether about your origin, your customer, the change you're working toward, it creates an emotional connection with your audience. And by weaving emotional elements into stories, you are reinforcing your brand identity and leaving a lasting impression that is more likely to lead to a sale or donation further down the road. In the next episode, we are going to talk about the power of following your passion and creating a solution for a gap in the market. But until then, I want to leave you with a few practical tips that you can implement in your business today. The first thing is to ask 3 customers what 3 words come to mind when they think of your business. Compare those to the brand that you've been working to build. Are they words that you would use to describe your brand? Are they in alignment or not, and why? The second is to audit your brand for consistency across your various marketing platforms. You can use our free brand consistency checklist, which is linked in the notes, to ensure that your brand is memorable and working for you every step of the customer journey. And third, if you're looking for another set of eyes on your brand, you can reach out to our team at hello@mainimpact.com. Our team specializes in building brands that amplify mission, and we would love to help. Just a quick recap of today's episode. Building a brand that people remember comes down to 3 things: clarity, consistency, and storytelling. When you lay that foundation, you're not just creating a logo or a color palette, you're building a lasting and authentic trust and connection with your audience. But here's the thing. Branding isn't just a theory. It's about putting those principles into action. That's why I am so excited for our next conversation, in which I'll be joined by Gabby Fiorentino, the founder of Nest Earth. Gabby is on a mission to make eco-conscious living a no-brainer for parents. And Gabby's story is a powerful example of following your passion, seeing a gap in the market, and building a memorable brand that is rooted in purpose and values. So simply hit the subscribe button to get notified when that drops, and we'll see you next time.